These are my favorite colors.
What kind of shopper are you?
Transformation. thank you for coming to the Vineyards. We're so happy to hear you today, or see you today. You're going to hear me. My name is Justin. Thanks everyone online for joining us. If you are able and if you want to, please stand while we sing a few songs, and love you guys. Here in the valley of my soul, when I'm lost and all alone, through the shadows I can see your love is chasing after me. You cross the canyons of my fear, over the oceans of my tears. Like the wind that moves the trees, your love is chasing after me. No mountain higher, no river wider. My heart may wander, your love will never stop chasing after me. Your love will never stop, never stop, never stop. Your love will never stop chasing after me. Your love will never stop, never stop, never stop. Your love will never stop chasing after me. The sun upon my skin, you are the moon that pulls me in, closer than the air I breathe. Your love is chasing after me. No mountain higher, no river wider. My heart may wander, your love will never stop chasing after me. Your love will never stop, never stop, never stop. Your love will never stop chasing after me. Your love will never stop, never stop, never stop. Your love will never stop chasing after me. None of the shame was meant for me. I feel my heart run wild and free. There is no place I'd rather be. I see my chains unraveling. None of the shame was meant for me. I feel my heart run wild and free. None of the shame was meant for me. No mountain higher, no river wider. My heart may wander, your love will never stop chasing after me. Your love will never stop, never stop, never stop. Your love will never forget how I feel right now on the mountaintop. I can see it so clear, Lord, it's all about stay by my side when the sun goes down. Don't wanna forget how I feel right now. I'm already loved. I'm already chosen. I know who I am. I know what you've spoken. I'm already loved more than I could imagine. That is enough. I am enough. I'm already loved. I'm already chosen. I know who I am. I know what you've spoken. I'm already loved more than I can imagine, and that is enough. I am enough. On a poor and powerless, and all the lost and lonely, and all who hurt with nothing left, who know that they are worthy, who know that they are worthy. No, we'll sing out hallelujah, and we will cry out hallelujah. And all the hearts who are content, and all who feel unworthy, and all who hurt with nothing left, will know that they are worthy, will know that they are worthy. And oh, we'll sing out hallelujah, and we will cry out hallelujah, and oh, we'll sing out hallelujah, and we will cry out shouting, go on and screaming from the mountains, go on and tell it to the masses that he is love. Shout Go on and scream it from the mountains. Go on and tell it to the masses. He is Lord. We will sing now, hallelujah. We will cry out, hallelujah. And we will sing out, hallelujah. Cry out, hallelujah. We will cry out, hallelujah. And we will sing out, hallelujah. Shout, sing out, hallelujah. And we will cry out, hallelujah. And we will sing out,
Hey, good morning and welcome to the venues. My name is Whitney.
And my name is Elise, and when you came in, you should have gotten a bulletin that has everything you need to know.
If you have little ones, birth through 5th grade, Kids Venue is open. And it's a party in there. You kept your baby or toddler with you. That's awesome. We love to see them. If they need a break or you need a break, we have a room for you. Conveniently located off the lobby is the Wiggle Room. Your kid can play and you can watch the service.
And when you checked in your kiddos, be sure to keep that 4-digit code, because if we need to reach you during the service, we'll flash that code on this display.
Hey, if your Thursday nights are open, we have a fun opportunity for you. We're doing the Bar Church Experiment, which means we're hopping around to local bars and breweries to do a little bar church shenanigans. It's a good time. We have a few more coming up Thursday nights at 6:30. You just show up, drink a beer, drink some kombucha, whatever you're into, and hang out, make new friends. It's a great time.
As we partner with Studi, our Women Warriors group is holding a backpack bash to help them out. This is really important because some kids just don't have the school supplies they need. So, if you would like to donate, you can buy it right off the Amazon list and they'll send it to us. You don't even have to go to the store.
So easy.
So easy. So, scan this QR code and make a difference.
If you are interested in fun and exciting ways to serve our local community, it sounds like SRT is for you. You may be wondering, what's that? Social Response Team. It's the people who get stuff done around here, and they are having a meeting August 4th, right after service, in this very auditorium. They're planning for Venues Palooza, Backpack Bash, all the things serving our community, so check it out.
If you want to find out more about all that we talked about, or get more plugged in, give online, sign up for events, get the Church Center app. It has all of it in one easy location, and you can get it on Apple, you can get it on Android, you can get it on your little Nokia phone that could survive a nuclear blast.
Cute.
And be sure to follow us on social media. So Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and we'll keep you up to date there too.
If it is your first time or maybe your second and you were feeling us out, come meet me in the lobby. My name is Whitney. I will tell you everything you need to know about the venues, as well as give you gifts, prizes, and it'll be a good time. I won't make it super weird.
Not too weird. All right, we'll see you next week.
Bye. We're proud of you.
Proud of you. You're doing great.
You're doing great. Look at you.
Look at you.
Doing church?
Doing church? You got out today. That's huge.
You could be sleeping.
So good job.
We're so proud of you.
We're proud of you.
Almost stepped out like 3 times thinking they were finishing. Yeah. Oh, there I am. Hi, good morning. I'm Amanda. I sit over here with my wife, Caitlin. And thank you. That was nothing. I just want to welcome you to the venues today. Our fantastic team is going to sing a song here in just a minute, one more, but I wanted to just plug 2 things real quick. The Studi Backpack Bash, the teachers go back to their classrooms 2 weeks from tomorrow, and so the more that we can collect, if you're not into I don't want to take a picture of that to my phone, to Amazon or whatever, that's fine. You can just bring in Lysol wipes, just any kind of types of snacks, things, just drop them off here. And the second thing is we kind of have an underground group here at the venues. It's our LGBTQIA queer, whatever you're comfortable calling yourself group, okay? And that's, we meet once or twice a month, and so we're out at the bars, or we're at the river, or we're doing games, or we're at people's houses. But the thing is, we don't advertise tons because we don't want to compromise people's privacy. So if you are a part of that community, go and see Whitney. If she makes it weird, I'm sorry. But we have a QR code so that you can be invited and in the loop of what we're doing. But we will not seek you out because we will not compromise your privacy to include you. I know that might sound weird, but we just want to keep you safe and protected. So the song that we're going to sing today, I'm going to ask those that are coming forward as we're talking about giving to Studi, also the gifts that you give on Sunday morning stay locally. So 100% of anything that you would give to the venues does stay locally, either here in the church or in our city, Springfield. And so if those ushers want to come forward, ushers, do we call them that here? What do we call you? What do you want to be called? The Saints. The Saints are marching down. Come on down, the Saints. Let me give you the mic. Yeah, okay. The song that the band is going to play this morning speaks of perseverance in difficult times, keeping your head held high, keeping on going, persevering. It is actually called Keep Going by the Revivalist. And I just want you guys to listen, cling on to some hope, how the words just want to keep going. Don't stop, right? I mean, that's what it is. All right, I hope you guys have a great time, and here we go.
Said I'm pulling down the shades for the long ride. I never knew that I could feel so black and blue. And I've been holding on to something now for some time. All I know is it's a feeling fit for 2. 'Cause when the sunlight let my head down on the dark night, and I was talking to myself in the review. Yeah, I got questions, but I know everything is alright. And all I have to do is just remember you. 'Cause I'm never gonna lose you. I got you deep inside my chest. And I can feel you beating there like the soul of a drummer boy. We gotta keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't care what anybody say. Let the Lord take us away. We gotta keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't care what anybody say. Na, na, na. I've been you and I've been me, but now stand up tall for what I believe. Against all odds, I want that trophy and tread on disbelief. We all want that make-believe, tried in true tribulations of who I've come to be. The less I know, the more I learn how much that means to me. Every day I'm walking through the front door, leaning on your nose. The best feeling of the day is running on into a verse. We gotta keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. stand up tall for what I believe. Against all odds, I walk that trail of fear and tread on desperate leaves. We know it's moving just yet. We all want that make-believe. Try the true tribulations of who I've come to be. The less I know, the more I learn how much love means to me. Every day walking up the front door, leaning on your nose. The best feeling of the day, the one you love is your most. We gotta keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't care what anybody says. Let the Lord take us away. We gotta keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't care what anybody says. No, no. I said I'm pulling down the shades for the long ride. I never knew that I could feel so black and blue. Thank you, guys.
And then he opens his mouth, and we realize that I'm like the Wish.com version because he's got such an incredible singing voice. So thank you all so much, band and everybody. But it's, by the way, it's not just me and Justin that kind of have this like similar vibe sometimes. In fact, it's also our spouses. I want you to take a look at this picture really quickly. These are our wives. And this happened at a Halloween party a couple of years ago. My wife, Morgan, is the one in the green bandana. His wife, Kelly, is the one in the other bandana. And the thing that makes this so amazing is that they didn't know that the other one was coming to this party. In fact, we didn't know that we were going to this party until about 20 or 30 minutes beforehand. And Morgan just went into her closet and got this stuff, and apparently so did Kelly. It is wild how often we get mistaken for each other, not just by random people, but even by, for example, Justin and Kelly's own kids, who have come up to me and been like, hey, Dad, no, that's not Justin. And when I found out that Justin was going to be leading music today and that I was going to be teaching, we decided that this was going to be the day that we didn't want to miss out on our chance to do this, right? We did not want to have the space where we looked back and thought, oh man, I really wish I woulda, coulda. Because people tell us all the time that we should do this kind of switcheroo. And so we decided that rather than facing that like fear, that regret, that frustration, that we should just do it. And if we're going to be really honest, I think that for a lot of us, we exist in that space, don't we? Where we kind of think, I don't really want to miss out on this thing. In fact, a recent study suggested that about 75% of people under the age of 30 face significant FOMO, the fear of missing out. It's the reason, by the way, that you would never even leave your house to go to the mailbox without making sure you have your phone on you, and that even when it doesn't vibrate, you think it does. Because you're like, what if I accidentally miss a call that's really important? Or not a call, because no one really does that, but what if I miss a text or a DM or something of that nature? It's the reason that we don't want to ever miss out on going to a party or an event that someone else suggested that we might. In fact, Dr. James Roberts said this about FOMO. He said, the human need to belong is an innate drive that dictates much of our behavior. FOMO is a significant predictor of subjective well-being, and social media intensity had a slight significant effect on well-being. In other words, we evaluate how well we think we are doing as human beings based on our fear of missing out on things. When we feel like we have missed out, we start feeling worse about ourselves. But while FOMO is really about not wanting to regret things in the future, I think there's also a real fear that comes as we look backwards. And so to kind of make this easy, I've thought about the fact that in the future, it's FOMO, fear of missing out, and in the past, it's FOMOS, the fear of missing our shot. So oftentimes, I think that we kind of live in this in-between of not wanting to fear the future regret, while at the same time living in a constant state of regret, either for the things that we did that we wished we wouldn't have, or of not doing the things that we wish we would have. And if we're honest with ourselves, I would imagine that most, if not all of us, have things in our past that we regret. The things that we fear was a shot that we only had one time. And companies and organizations, by the way, are more than happy to play on this fear to get us to do things. In fact, in 1999, the Peace Corps put out this brochure as an attempt to try to get people to join the Peace Corps. And at the top, I don't know if you can see this quotation or not, but it's from Mark Twain, and it says, 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did. The only problem with this is, Mark Twain didn't say that. In fact, it's most likely organized from H. Jackson Brown's 1990 book, which was way after Mark Twain, called P.S. I Love You. It just got attributed to Mark Twain, and how dare we let facts stand in the way of a good time. But whether for good or ill, we often use the notion that we will regret things as a motivator to move us forward. Or we look back in the past at the things that we regret doing or not doing as a great demotivator. And so today, what I'd like to do is spend a couple of minutes with us just thinking about our past, thinking about the regrets that we may have, and maybe how we can move through that. This last month or thereabouts, we have been in this series here called Ghost, where we've been looking at the CBS comedy and kind of examining our past, the things that we need to move forward so that our future is better. And each week we've been looking at a different character. So today, we're going to be looking at a particular character by the name of Captain Isaac Higgintooth. And we're going to see just how maybe the regrets that he had because of things that he did and didn't do can help us deal with our past. Now, to give you just a little bit of background on him, Captain Higgintooth fought during the Revolutionary War. And he often likes to tell his other ghost friends that he knew several people that he didn't think would ever make anything of themselves, like this random guy named Alexander Hamilton. And of course, in the year 2024, no one would remember his name. But as fate would have it, both he and a group of 3 soldiers from the British Army would all die on the grounds of the Woodstone estate. And there's one particular British soldier by the name of Lieutenant Colonel Nigel Chesham, who Isaac has a particular affinity to. I'd like you to take just a second and watch this clip.
Between these two.
This has been going on for centuries.
Every year they find some reason to redraw the border or extend the truce, and neither one of them ever makes a move.
Well, I suppose I shall bid you adieu.
Yes, yes, and I shall bid adieu to you.
Isaac comes down the stairs to tell Sam that the shirt Jay is looking for is in.
That most of us have been in this situation, if not ourselves, at least maybe one of our friends, where we see people who just have this incredible chemistry. And there's this little dance, right? Of like, will they, won't they, can they? And hopefully for most of us, it doesn't take 250 years to move on that conversation. But sometimes we just need a little bit of a push, right, from our friends. And that's actually what happens in this episode, is that Sam, who is the living human, the person who owns the Woodstone Estates, who's able to see the ghost, talks to Isaac, and they have this little conversation where Isaac says, I have this secret that I want to tell Nigel. And Sam says, that's great. Why don't I just arrange the time where you can do that? And so after they have this time arranged, Isaac and Nigel sit down to have a very important conversation. Take a look at this.
Is you wanted to talk about?
Well, the truth is it's quite personal, and I've been keeping a secret from you for...
Nigel and Isaac are seated together on a couch, both awkwardly crushing on the other. Nigel says that they should talk about what Isaac wanted to talk about, and Isaac says that he's not sure how he'll take it because it's a secret that he's kept for 250 years. Nigel says that he thinks he'll take it just fine, assuming that Isaac was about to confess his feelings. Isaac says all right, and then proceeds to tell Nigel that he's the one that killed him. Nigel immediately gets angry and indignant. The scene cuts to a flashback of Isaac spying on Nigel through the scope on a musket before sneezing and accidentally shooting Nigel where he was sitting. Cutting back to the present, Nigel angrily says that the cowardly sniper that killed him was Isaac. And while Isaac stumbles over his words, saying that that's not what he meant to do, Nigel continues to rant about being murdered in cold blood by a fellow officer. Isaac says he wanted to apologize, but Nigel storms out, again being fifed out by Baxter.
Turn out that poorly. But I think for many of us, that if we think back to the times that maybe we've taken a shot or that we didn't, we might look back at some of those and they didn't turn out the way that we thought they would, right? We're maybe now thinking, I completely missed my shot at whatever it is, right? We worry about the fact that we never told that special someone that we love them, or we didn't start the family that we wanted, or we didn't take the promotion that we were offered. Or what often happens to me is that someone says something to me and I think of a great comeback like 7 minutes later. And I'm like, man, I just missed my shot. In the Christian Bible, there is also a story that Jesus regales some people with that has a lot to do with a person who might be really worried that he had missed his shot. It shows up in the book of Luke in chapter 15, and it's a story that many scholars would say is probably one of the most well-known stories in the entirety of the Christian Bible. It's a story that if you were raised in church, you might have heard called the prodigal son. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to take maybe 15 or 20 minutes this morning to just kind of break down that story, but maybe in a little bit of a different way. Instead of just talking about the story that we often hear, the story about the son who went out and wasted his money and all of these things, I'd like to instead think about it in terms of how different people reacted to what the son did. And so we're going to look at the story, but I want to really focus in on the characters of the older brother, which we'll get to, and the father, okay? And really think about how their reactions either mirror or are different than the reactions that we often have. The story, by the way, that Jesus is telling here, he's telling to a bunch of Jewish religious leaders. And as he starts telling the story, he says there was this man who had 2 sons that he loved so, so much. And the younger son comes to him and says, hey, Dad, I would like my inheritance early. I would like to take it, and I would like to have, which at that time would not have been considered that much of an affront. It would have been different, but it wasn't something that was so far out of left field. And then in verse 13, it says that the son wasted his money. When I was growing up, I was often taught that this meant that he was super scandalous with his money. But this word wasted, it's not only the only time that this word is used in the Christian Bible, it's actually the only time any of the root words around it are used in the Christian Bible. So there's a lot of debate amongst scholars about what this actually meant. And while I have zero idea which one is actually correct, I thought it would be helpful to kind of maybe broaden our thoughts about this to see that maybe it's not just what we have been taught. Some scholars believe it's sort of the fact that he was maybe frivolous with his money, right? That he went out and bought a Ferrari when he should have bought a Honda, right? He wasn't doing what he should have. It was just kind of wasted money. Some people think it might have been something that he was taken advantage of. That in the same way that like a fool and their money are soon separated, that maybe he had gone out and had a little bit more than he thought, and people saw this and thought, I can take advantage of that. And so you can imagine that if that's the world, you might feel very frustrated about the world that you're in. I thought I had all of these things, and now I don't. And yet there are others who say, maybe a better way to think about it is not to think about it from the son's perspective of wasting, but rather through the rest of society's perspective of wasting. You see, that money was designed probably for him to get married in a heterosexual marriage to a woman and raise children, right? They'd have their nice white picket fence, their 2.2 kids, and whatever animals that would be around. And that was kind of the expectation. So there's this scholarly thought that maybe when it says that Jesus said he wasted it, maybe he just went out on his own and thought, I can push against that. And then it just didn't work out, which, by the way, sometimes happens, right? We push against society. We try to disrupt the norm. And sometimes the norm says no. And that hurts. And so it's possible that in that space, he thought, I've wasted all this money. I've wasted my shot. And after that happens, we see the first verse that I want to look at today, which is Luke 15, 18 through 19. And this is him as he's kind of walking back after having this thought. And he says, I will go home to my father and say, Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you. I am no longer worthy of being called your son. Please take me on as a hired servant. You see, it's in these verses that the son starts to, I think, wrestle with the same things that Isaac was wrestling with. Did I waste my chance? Did I miss my shot? Am I going to live in this space of regret? And that's the first thing that I want us to kind of take hold on today is this, that regret tells us that we are the problem. I want to say that again. Regret tells us that we are the problem. When we regret things, we start to think back to all of the shots that we have missed. We start to replay in our mind. In fact, even the English word regret comes from two parts. Like meaning again. And the gret part actually comes from the Germanic word to mean to greet. Okay? So what we're doing is like we're reintroducing those narratives in our mind. We're replaying the things that maybe didn't go as well as we had hoped. The son does the same thing. It feels at least like there's a good chance that this guy is heading back to his home. And he's saying, look, I have sinned against both God and against you. And this word sin means to miss the mark. It's not necessarily a moral statement. It just means that maybe he was off of what he was planning on doing. And maybe he's thinking as he's walking back, my goodness, others are going to be really, really disappointed with me. They are going to be so frustrated here. And so he starts replaying this. And by the way, this does not say that there's no time to actually revisit our past. I think there is, by the way. I think there is definitely a time to where we need to look back at the things that we have done in the past to learn from them. But as one of my favorite pastors, Reverend Najee Bowles-Weber says, I only preach from my scars, not my wounds. I want you just to let that roll around for a second, okay? She says, I only preach from my scars, not my wounds. We can learn lessons from the past after we regret them, but I think so often, in the same way that if you had a wound that you just kept picking on, it never heals. But maybe what needs to happen is that we can revisit those, we can regret those things after they've had some time to heal. So I just want to say this to you today. If you're here today and you have a lot of regret that you feel like right now is just open wounds, you are welcome here just to be here, just to heal. one of my absolute joys of being here at the venues is the number of times that I hear people say, this is where my heart heals. There's been so much toxicity or so much problems, so many abuses, so many things in my past that maybe I did or that were done to me, and I just need a place to heal. And I want to tell you, you can just heal here. You don't have to do anything. We love you, we affirm you, and we celebrate you right where you are. You can just heal here. In fact, one of my friends this week posted this on his Facebook account. He said, the venues is my favorite place to unlearn toxic religion. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And a lot of the times, what we need to do is just heal. We just need to let our wounds scar over. And from there, maybe in the future, we help people and we say, like, look, this is the scar that I've moved through and I can help you with that. But if your wound is open right now, you don't have to worry about that. You can just heal. And it's pretty amazing because one of the reasons that I think oftentimes that we see problems is that when we come with our wounds, that other people don't know how to respond to that. And so this is the second thing I want you to latch on to is this, that often those around us will bring up our past to reinforce their own position. Let me say that again. Often those around us will bring up our past to reinforce their own positions. Now, while I'm going to tell the story that Jesus told a little bit out of order, what happens is that the younger son comes back, and as they're getting ready to throw this party, the older brother refuses to come in. He says, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stick right where I am. And I want you to hear what he says to the father when he comes out. It says, the older brother was angry and wouldn't go in. His father came out and begged him, but he replied, all these years I've slaved for you and never once refused to do a single thing you told me to. And in all that time, you never gave me even one young goat for a feast with my friends. Yet when this son of yours comes back, after squandering your money on prostitutes, you celebrate by killing a fattened calf. Remember, Jesus didn't say that that's how the son had spent his money. But the older brother, when confronted with the past, decided to go to the most depraved thing that he could think of. He decided to cast stones, if you would, and say, but look at this son of yours, not even my brother. Look at this person and the things that they have done. I wonder how often we see this in the world around us, right? We see politicians all the time casting stones at other people for things that are relatively minor instead of dealing with the things that they themselves have done. We hear stories when we talk to maybe our family and we talk to people that we know objectively engage in bigoted rhetoric. And yet they look at us and say, why can't you just be more unifying? Why can't you just get along with the person who says the things that we all know they shouldn't say? Why do you have to bring up that you're affirming? We even saw this really recently, didn't we? Just this weekend. All of the divisiveness that's been happening around the Olympic opening ceremony shows that this is the norm, doesn't it, right? When the French decided to honor the Grecian ceremony of the Grecian god Dionysus having a festival, and they portrayed it with drag queens, they decided that there were Christians who said, no, you're obviously offending us because that's the Last Supper, which it isn't. But when people feel like it's an us versus them dichotomy, it's this conflict all the time, it's the younger brother and the older brother, they look for conflicts to have, not resolutions to find. And if I'm honest, there are lots of times that I think that we all do this, right? We take the position of the older brother. I have done all of the things that you've asked. And yet there's this one who hasn't. And yet you're favoring them. I have worked here tirelessly, and yet you gave them the promotion. I have done this thing consistently, and yet you're favoring them. But maybe, and I could be wrong here, right? But maybe that's not the story of the Christ. Maybe that's not the path of Jesus. Maybe that's not the story of love. One of my favorite scholars for the book of Luke is a former professor at Emory by the name of Fred Craddock. And I want you to hear what he wrote about this story. He said, perhaps it is because of the competitive rather than cooperative spirit of our society. But the common thought is that there must be losers if there are going to be winners. Hence, even in religion, and I might actually say, hence, especially in religion, it is very difficult not to think Jews or Gentiles, poor or rich, saint or sinner, publican or Pharisee, older son or younger son, but God's love is both and, not either or. I want you to hear that again. That's such a good line. Hear that again, okay? Yeah, you can clap at that line. That's awesome, right? That God's love is both and, not either or. The fact that God's love is inclusive of other people who don't act the same way that you do or believe the same way that you do doesn't mean that God loves you less, because God can't love you less. God is bananas about you. Really. Like, God loves you so much. And it's not an either or statement. Elbert Hubbard once said this, that a friend is someone who knows all about you and still loves you. Yeah. And so when we think about God, about the spirit of love that indwells each of us, we can see that I really believe that God does not have a path of judgment for you, but rather has a path of love for you, that God knows all about you. And when we engage in that, when we embody that, I think there's something really unique that happens. But if we're going to move from the space of regret, to helping heal other people, I think there really is this. I think that we have a path from regret to release. When the Father sees the Son here, he releases him from the burden that he has been carrying. Sometimes I think that we just need to do that. I want you to hear the verse that it says that the Father did this. It's Luke 15:21-23, and it says this, that the Son started his speech, Father, I've sinned against God, I've sinned before you. I don't deserve to be called your son ever again. And I love this sentence. But the Father wasn't listening. He was calling to the servants, quick, bring a clean set of clothes and dress him. Put the family ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Then get a prize-winning heifer and roast it. We're going to have a feast. We're going to have a wonderful time. In Southern Baptist world, we would have said we're going to have a potluck. Here at the venue, we would have said we're going to have a beer. And I think there really is this path from regret to release where just like the Son and the Father, and just like we're going to see with Isaac and Nigel, there is a path forward. Sometimes we need to be reminded that we don't need to carry the past anymore. We don't need to worry about how we may have missed our shot. We can move forward. We can't get the past back, but we can make the future better. At the end of the episode with Isaac and Nigel, Nigel is still trying to figure out what to do about the fact that Isaac killed him. And so he decides that he should invade the manor. But because they are ghosts and don't have the ability to actually engage in conflict, they decide to handle the conflict the way that I truly believe that all conflict should be handled. They play Dungeons and Dragons. And it's in that space that after they've played Dungeons and Dragons, that Isaac and Nigel come together and have a conversation about how they're going to resolve that. Let's take a look at that really quickly.
Nigel and Isaac are sitting together speaking, while the other ghosts are playing Dungeons and Dragons at the table. Nigel says that it would be a hard subject to broach, but wonders how you accidentally shoot someone. Isaac says that he merely intended to spy on Nigel using a spyglass on a musket that he invented, saying some call it the Isaac. Nigel immediately understands, saying, "Oh, like your name, but with EYE at the beginning." Isaac happily says yes and asks how he knew, to which Nigel says, "What else could it be?" and says that it's brilliant and that he loves it, for the thing that killed him. Isaac says, "I love you," before quickly changing to say, "for loving my invention." Nigel says the invasion is canceled and that the matter is settled. Nigel thanks him for his hospitality and cues Baxter to play him out once again, with both Isaac and Nigel looking sad. Isaac jumps up and says that maybe they should parlay more often, and then proceeds to ask Nigel if he would like to walk the grounds with him to discuss the peace and other matters. Nigel awkwardly says that he's not busy right now, and they agree to go on a walk together. Baxter starts playing the fife before Nigel tells him to stop as they're leaving.
You know, this path from regret to release, I think, has a couple of steps. As we kind of look at what Isaac and Nigel went through, as we look at the story of the father and the son and how that's different than the two brothers, I think that we need to realize that as we move from regret to release, that sometimes those wounds are still wide open. And in those spaces, I want to say this up front. If the wounds are really, really deep, you might need to go talk to a professional therapist or a professional counselor. And we are huge advocates for that. We need to bring awareness to the fact that those in those professions can help people heal to where those wounds become scars in ways that pastors and theologians can't. But I think oftentimes our regrets that we look back on can be moved through together. And so what I want to do as we're kind of closing up today is offer just 3 possible pieces that help us move from regret to release. The first is this. To move from regret to release, we need to reflect and move on. Paige Henry says this, that one way to move forward from regret is to evaluate what happened and determine what you can take away from the situation and the hard times that put you there. Once you've reflected on the situation and let your feelings run their course, allow yourself to move on. You know, oftentimes, both the son and Isaac in the situation needed to kind of reflect on it and move forward. Sometimes we need to reflect on our scars and see, like, how did those happen so that they don't happen again? And I imagine that there are scars that we now often have that it might be a good idea to let others see because it can help them move forward as well. I think the second step here is that sometimes we just need to forgive ourselves, right? Paige Henry continues saying that forgiving yourself for past mistakes can help you move on. One method you might consider trying is altruistically offer yourself forgiveness and commit publicly, which means saying your feelings and decisions with someone else. It never says in the story of the 2 sons that the younger son forgave himself, but I have a hard time imagining they had much of a party if he didn't. And for Isaac and Nigel, Isaac had to quickly move on and say, let's have these parlays more often. For me, and I've shared this with several people before, but for me, the way that I do this is that I remind myself that the things that I used to were maybe like 21 Chris's ago, or 18 Chris's ago, or 17 Johns ago, if that's your name, or 11 Leslie's ago, or whatever. When I was in high school, I would have gone to fisticuffs with somebody if they had suggested that there was any truth in a religion outside of Christianity. While I was never overtly a problem to our LGBTQI plus community, I wasn't an ally the way that I should have been. And I often look back at those things and I have scars and regrets from those things. But sometimes I have to remind myself that that was 21 Chris's ago. So here's the thing. If you want to beat me up for those things, that's fine. But you're punching the wrong guy. And I think sometimes we need to forgive ourselves. That doesn't, by the way, mean the systemic injustices just go away. It doesn't mean that there's not still work to do for justice to move it forward, but sometimes we need to just forgive ourselves. And the final thing is this. To move from regret to release, we need to let go of the perfection and start fresh. Dr. Mark Banchik says it this way. Without mistakes, you aren't trying new things and exploring new ideas. There is no perfect human being, so let it go. Allow it to be part of your past and start fresh now. When the son comes back home, the father makes sure he has a fresh set of clothes and the new ring. He gets a fresh start. Isaac and Nigel start a fresh pattern of walking around the grounds together. And I wonder if there aren't things that we each could do that do the same when the pain and pressures that we carry are too heavy. So I want to just ask you, what might be the things that you need to release so that you don't live with the regret? You can do this however you want, but today I'm just going to ask us just to be contemplative for a couple of minutes. Maybe if you're in a comfortable spot, maybe put your feet on the floor. You don't have to close your eyes. You can look up at the screen or the sky, or you can close your eyes. Or if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, feel free to just pause for just a second. But I would imagine that most of us have 3 regrets, maybe just one of these, that you might want to release. And so I'm just going to offer to you that these are three that I have processed through. One is the belief that we have messed up on our best chance to do X or Y. I have a friend who's now a personal trainer that says at some point in your life, you're going to be in the best shape of your life. And it's up to you, for most of us, if that's going to be in the future or the past. And I think for many of us, whether it's a question of when are we going to be our kindest, our most generous, our most loving, we may need to just release the fact that our best shot might be in the future, or that it was in the past, and say it's okay that it's going to be in the future. A second thought is that we might have a regret that we've disappointed someone. We might think, they're going to be so disappointed that I wasted my shot. You have family or friends who are frustrated that you have changed. And I'm going to say you can release that because change is good. It's how we know that we're alive. And the final one is maybe this. Maybe it's the belief that you don't stack up. It's easy for us to compare ourselves to each other. When I look at Justin and I hear his voice, it's easy for me to think, I will never sound like this. But you know what? I can cheer Justin on because love is not either or, it's both and. And when we embody that fully, when we engage in that collectively, I truly think that we can look back at our scars and help each other heal as we move forward. I'm just going to close this there and just say whatever it is that you need to release, you have some time to do that. But I am going to go ahead and just thank you all so, so much for coming and releasing those together. All right? Let's pray really quickly, and then I'll dismiss us, okay? Thank you so much, God, that your love is not either or, that it's both and. May we live this week in that both and type of love for everyone around us. In your name we pray, the name of love. Amen. All right, with that said, for those of you that joined us online, thank you so much for joining us. We are so thankful that you did, and we will see you next week. The second thing is, if you are a student in 6th through 12th grade and you would like to hang out with Student Venue, right back here, there is a sign that has a